Hello and welcome to another Board of Education meeting recap, this time for the month of June 2022. I'm your host, J.D. Harden, Executive Director of Media and Public Relations for Henry County Schools. We're so glad you could join us on this final episode of the 2021-2022 school year. And there was a lot of action taken this month by our board, and things were really kicked off in the study session this month with a grand welcome by Superintendent Davis. Part of her welcome focused on many of the end-of-year aspects that take place in our school district, but one of the things that she focused on was some of the tragedy that has befallen our school district over the course of the year, some of the important individuals who have left us far too soon, and we also took a moment of silence to reflect on the tragedy that took place in Uvalde, Texas. So let's take a listen to her welcome as she gets things started for this month's board meetings.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board, and to our Henry County community. Welcome to the June 2022 board meeting of the Henry County Board of Education. Can you believe it? It is June, which means we have just wrapped up an extraordinary school year, and in doing so, convened the leadership of our organization in an annual tradition known as the Leadership Development Seminar. And at that particular event, lifted up the term, the sentiment, the concept, the attribute of perseverance. There would have been a lot of reasons to feel stalled in our service of public education over the past year. Yet, not only the leaders of Henry County, but every employee and every job family really rose to the occasion of unforeseen obstacles and delays of success, and can summarize this past year as one that has truly been incredible. And we recognize that collectively, as a school system, we lost 25 individuals over the past year. That's students and staff combined, and every circumstance heart-wrenching and tragic in and of itself. And each of those instances required even more extraordinary leadership from school leaders and department heads and really the entire organization as a whole. And we recognize that coupled with the conclusion of our school year and the reflection of that somber perspective, there were tragedies far too close to home, even though many states away, in Uvalde, Texas, where senseless acts resulted in harm for school children and for educators, none of which is ever acceptable or even something we can easily process. This conclusion of the school year, while heavy in so many ways, is coupled with such magnificent celebration. And we had the opportunity to celebrate more than 3,000 seniors, now graduates of Henry County Schools, who in total secured $52 million in post-secondary scholarship opportunities. Let's roll the video.
Tonight, we join together to celebrate and give praise to all of our achievements over these past 4 years. In unprecedented times, we stood the test of time and we passed the test.
Each remember that the story of our learning and dedication is not over. We are just simply turning the page. Congratulations to the senior class of McDonough High School, the class of 2022.
Before I start my speech, I want to give a shout out to my family. Hi, Mom! It is time to begin a new journey. Class of 2022, turn your tassels from the right to the left. Congratulations!
As you can see, a lot of activities have taken place at the end of another school year, including our Leadership Development Seminar, where leaders from all across the district were able to come together and really close out, but gear up for the upcoming school year in this 2022-23 school year. So stay tuned, a lot more details to come as it pertains to that. Now, as a part of our informational items for the study session, our newest member of the Executive Cabinet, Chief Officer for School Leadership, Ms. Mary Ann Suddeth, was able to provide the board with an update on back to school and some of the actual end of the year activities, but really more focused on the back to school preparation underway in our school district. Let's take a listen to some of the information she was able to share.
Today I will provide an update on our preparations for the upcoming school year, but first let's take a minute to look at some of the highlights from our strong finish of the 21-22 school year. As a result of your commitment to ensuring exceptional opportunities for students and their families, we were able to bring back so many of our traditional end-of-the-year celebrations and events. Our summer learning programs began on June the 6th with over 93% of our seats filled. And the K-8 STEM camps actually started today. We also have several opportunities for our high school students to participate in credit recovery and grade repair. We have our extended school year for students to continue making progress on their IEP goals and objectives. And we also have our ESOL virtual tutoring. We encourage all of our families to visit our website to review these resources, as well as a complete list of summer athletic camps that are provided within the school district and also within our community. In response to the Board of Education's desire for a one-stop shop for all of our families, we have compiled a plethora of back-to-school information, which can be found on our website or by going directly to BeReadyDay1Henry.com. All families who need bus transportation will select that when completing their Be Ready Day 1 information and are encouraged to download the Here Comes the Bus app, which goes live later this summer. We understand that some of our families may be concerned about leaving their middle school students at home in the mornings. Based on input from our community, we have developed a before-school enrichment program that will operate similarly to the after-school enrichment program provided in our elementary schools. This tuition-based program will provide a safe and structured environment that prepares students for learning prior to the school day. Students enrolled in the program can be dropped off at 7:30 a.m. and will participate in supervised academic enrichment activities until the school day begins. Breakfast will be provided during this time, and registration for this program will open on June the 20th.
Moving on to the next segment of our study session involves the segment around ensuring operational effectiveness. Now, each month we hear a financial report as well as a construction report, but this month we were able to hear from Shanika Clay, our Chief Financial Officer, as well as Tamarian McCrary, our new Chief Officer for Learning and Performance, as they detailed the newest, expenditures around our ARPA funds. Now, the ARPA funds granted to us by the state through from the federal government through the state really took place over this past school year. Now, the first 2/3 of this installment were already given to us, and the items that they were, that were expended through these funds or with these funds were done so with community input. Now, the remaining 1/3 is up to be shared or expended, and our community also weighed in on the things they would like to see these funds, used to support student learning in the upcoming school year. And these funds can actually be extended out over the next couple of years. But both of these individuals were able to provide a great report for the board, and let's take a listen to some of the details behind this report.
Almost 1 year ago, in August of 2021, the board endorsed plans for the first allocation of funds authorized by the American Rescue Plan Act, allowing us to seek approval from the Georgia Department of Education to access the funding support for our schools and the district. As a reminder, the ARPA funds are the third installment of the Elementary and Secondary School Emergency Relief, or ESSER, funding authorized by the federal government in recognition that school systems needed additional funds to keep schools open and students learning in the pandemic. Authorized in March of 2021, the federal government voiced strongly that the primary purpose of the ARPA funds is to support the reopening of schools safely, sustaining their safe operations, and addressing students' social, emotional, mental, health, and physical needs, and the academic needs resulting from the pandemic. The emphasis was no longer on the management of schools in crisis, but instead the focus was shifted to safe reopenings of schools and their operations, and deep investments in learning recovery, learning acceleration, and addressing the unprecedented needs of students. The investments in Phase 1 were determined with stakeholder feedback and were allocated into the categories of investments or buckets that are shown here. Board, you are aware that much of this investment centered around the opening of school, supporting the realities of COVID interruptions with the Quarantine Bridge program for students who couldn't attend school in person due to their quarantine assignment, building tools and resources for the new mental health and wellness facilitators, and to support the new Impact Academy full virtual program, amongst other more long-range investments that are listed here as well. Following the board's endorsement actions, we submitted our application to the Georgia Department of Education and obtained approval to access the funds during the 21-22 school year. I will now turn the report over to Ms. McCrary to discuss our preparations for the final phase of the application for the remaining 1/3 of funding.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the board, and Madam Superintendent. We intentionally waited to invest the final funds so that we didn't make investments for multiple years that only needed to be in place for this transition year. And in order to see what the real student needs would be as the 21-22 year concluded and the realities of the new normal could be studied. We are now ready to make those investments of the remaining third in the amount of approximately $18.7 million. You already prepared for that investment in our eSPLOS referendum, and we will be using eSPLOS funds to replace student learning devices for next school year. Additional community members noted a need to focus on student safety and personal health. With the continued funding of mental health and wellness facilitators, this need is also evident in Phase 2 of our ARPA investments. After carefully assessing the needs articulated from our community and the knowledge of what the investments need to be now after a year of leading, teaching, and learning in this new environment, we are ready to seek approval again from the Georgia Department of Education for the final investment of the ARPA funds. Going back to our investment categories or buckets, you can see the items that will make up the final request for funds. In blue are items previously endorsed by the board that will carry over into the new investment period. And in the yellow section are the investments to be made after determining the needs as I mentioned on the previous slide. This includes a class of early kindergarten will start next summer at every elementary school. This model is designed to give rising kindergartners more time to succeed on kindergarten standards with a focus on literacy and to mitigate variability in access to pre-K in our community. An investment will be made to review our course schedules at every one of our schools to ensure that our students have recovered all the course gaps that may have occurred during the pandemic, while also ensuring that we are advancing access and opportunities for rigorous course opportunities for every student in every school. We will expend ARPA dollars to continue the School of Scholars. The first year has demonstrated many points of success for the more than 40 students served in this therapeutic setting. The ARPA dollars will position us to continue the K-5 program and expand it to serve grades 6 through 8 in middle school as well. Think about the impact these funds have had on our ability to make an on-campus learning experience available to 98% of our students this past year, and build the largest virtual school in the state of Georgia at Impact Academy.
And that pretty much rounds out our informational section portion of the study session. The bulk of our meeting, which takes place in our study session as well as in the evening's business meeting, centers around several business items. And this month we were able to hear a report and an update around the investment in fine arts as well as the investment in robotics equipment for the upcoming school year. And these two items really stem out of and come from our strategic plan, which is a community-inspired 5-year strategic plan, but these investments are taking place right now to expand learning opportunities for students all across the district. And we were able to hear reports on these investments, which the board would take action on later on to approve these investments and listen in on some of what these investments will provide for our students in schools.
Aligned to Strategic Action 1, Advanced Pre-K through 12 Learning Opportunities and Experiences for All Students, and in direct support of Initiative 4, Expand Fine Arts at every school and across the district, and as prepared in the eSPLOS 6 plan, the superintendent recommends the purchase of band instruments for fine arts growth and replacement at the cost indicated. As previously budgeted and approved in eSPLOS 6, this purchase will assist our band programs in continuing to provide and further expand high-quality instruction in band courses in every middle and high school. In support of Strategic Action 1, Advanced Pre-K through 12 Learning Opportunities and Experiences for All Students, specifically the board's focus of expanding science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, or STEM opportunities at every school and across the district, the superintendent is recommending the purchase of robotics equipment and accompanying instructional materials. This recommendation is in direct support of Tactic 1, ensure a robotics and coding program at every elementary, middle, and high school. Through this acquisition, we will receive grades K through 2 and 6 through 8 robotics kits and instructional materials from Lego and Vex Robotics, completing a significant next step in your commitment to the community in ensuring a robotics and coding program at every elementary and middle school.
Two other big items that were discussed during this month's meeting center around next school year, and one of those being the start times. Now, there will be some slight adjustments to start times for students at 2 of our levels moving into the new school year. One would be our elementary students. Last year, we saw our elementary schools start at 7:45 and end at 2:25. There will be a slight 10-minute adjustment to that time schedule. Now elementary schools will be starting at 7:35 and ending their school day at 2:15. Now our high schools will maintain the same bell schedule, but our middle schools will move slightly to a start time of 9 a.m. and end the school day at 4 p.m. So stay tuned for more information. We'll be sure to share that out community-wide, school-wide, district-wide throughout the summer just to make sure you are prepared for those slight modifications. Now, one other important aspect of the upcoming school year would be that of our school meal prices. Now, over the past 2 years, thanks to the federal government's waivers, meals have been free for any student wanting to receive them, whether via curbside pickup or in school. But now that that waiver has ended, it's time to, once again have to charge for those meals. Now, it's been since 2017 since we made our last meal price adjustment. But this year, prices will be going up for our breakfast for our students as well as our lunch prices for our elementary, middle, and high school students. You will see a 10-cent increase for all meal prices for our students. Again, we'll be sharing this information out in greater detail over the course of the summer so our students can be prepared for this increase. We also want to remind all of our families at this time that it is important at the beginning of the school year to make sure you fill out that free and reduced lunch form so you can take advantage of any opportunity to provide a reduced meal cost or possibly a free meal for your student. So stay tuned for more information on that as well. Kicking off every Board of Education business meeting, the evening meeting each month, we have the opportunity to feature the many talents of our students. And this month was no different. The sights and sounds of our Luella Elementary School student performers, you may have heard them at the intro of this month's Board of Education meeting recap. Under the direction of Mr. Todd Christopher, they did an exceptional job of really inspiring our audience, both in person and at home. And let's take a little bit more of a listen into what they were able to provide us with. In addition to hearing the many sights and sounds and talents of our students for our inspiration, we're also able to recognize those same talents and accomplishments of not only our students, but our staff members as a part of our awards and recognitions. This month, we are able to feature the accomplishments of our valedictorians and salutatorians from every high school across the district. A big congratulations to them on their hard work over the past 4 years to be the top of their class and now go on to many opportunities that await them beyond high school. We are also able to recognize Ms. Brandy Hudson, the South Metro Region Library Media Specialist of the Year. She's now eligible to become the State Library Media Specialist of the Year. So best of luck to you, Brandy, from Timber Ridge Elementary, where we'll be cheering for you. We also have Miss Erica O'Neill from Hampton High School, who is recognized by the Georgia Association of Colleges of Teacher Education, as she was recognized with the Mentor Award. So congratulations to Mrs. O'Neill. We also had Senior Master Sergeant Torrance McGee from Ola High School, who was recognized by the Air Force JROTC with an Instructor of the Year award for his region. So congratulations to you, sir. And then finally, we were able to recognize Cantrell Brown, our Executive Director of School Nutrition, as she was recognized by the Henry County government during their State of the County address as a Hero Award winner for 2021. Now, Ms. Brown was able to really ensure that the school nutrition that has operated at the highest level was extended during the pandemic season that we've all experienced. And our students were fed in 2 different ways, both curbside meal pickup and in person, and changing that and supporting, nearly 43,000 students with these nutritious meals is no small feat. So we want to congratulate her on that big award. Congratulations actually to all of our awards and recognitions honorees this month. And at the conclusion of every meeting, Superintendent Davis is able to welcome new leaders to the district, and this month was no exception. There were several leaders who we were able to welcome as a part of our overall leadership team, whether that be at the district office or out in our schools, including the 2 members I spoke to earlier, which would be Ms. Marianne Suddeth, the new Chief Officer of School Leadership, and Mr. Marion McCrary, who's the new Chief Officer of Learning and Performance. Let's welcome them and all of our new leaders in this quick montage. And with that, we've made it to another ending of our Board of Education meeting recap. Again, this time for June 2022. This is the last episode of the school year. Next month, when we come to you, it will be the first month of the 2022-2023 school year. And things are in full swing, and we're so excited. We're a little around 50 days until the start of next school year. So we hope you're enjoying your summer, and we look forward to seeing you next time. On behalf of Superintendent Davis and our entire school district, I'm J.D. Harden saying thank you for joining us. While this is just a monthly recap of the Board of Education meetings, you can find the full-length version by visiting our website or clicking on the links in the description section below.